isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to HPR Imsa, and it's round 4 at the beautiful circuit of Watkins Glen. Opened up in 1956 and has been a staple for endurance racing, GT racing, been part of Formula 1, and tonight is part of round 4 of our HPR Imsa series. It's bright, it's sunny. My name is Stephen Koenig. Joining me in the box, we've got Brian Zinn and our producer handling the cameras, brought by TrackCam S22, Rob Campbell on the buttons. Brian, welcome to Watkins Glen, somewhere that you're quite familiar with, and also it's looking like a beautiful day for our HPR Imsa series.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming off a fantastic round last week out at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Our drivers are back across the pond here in America in the upstate New York region of Watkins Glen as we see the GTP, our Grand Touring prototypes, take to the track for qualifying. And Stephen, that was a heck of a race that we had last week, but as our drivers navigate the 11 turns here tonight, what are you going to be looking for as our key to victory?
Well, it's going to come down to navigating traffic. Right here at Watkins Glen, as we know, it has got the nickname of Let's Go Bowling. And unfortunately, turn 1 all the way through the S's is going to be a difficult one for our drivers to navigate in the prototypes to get past our GT3 battles. And as we saw at Spa, it can really foul things up. But also, you got to keep in mind that every class is racing their own race, and it can be a little bit of a difficult one. You can't push, you can't shove, and you can get caught out. But that being said, we've got some amazing sponsors jumping on board with us as well right here at HPR. And our first one going and having a bit of fun is Hymo, professional setups made by sim racers for sim racers. If you're wanting to get a leap across the field, Hymo's got you covered. Setups that is quick, but is friendly to those that are not quite the professionals, but still can give you that great way to the top. And also going to be giving us a prize of a 1-month subscription to each of our winners here tonight. Second, we have got Monster Designs. If you want to stand out, or you want your team to stand out from the rest of the grid, Monster Designs has got you covered in livery design that will really push you up towards the top of the field. Absolutely wonderful to have Monster Designs with us. And our final sponsor here tonight is our admin box. For any work in admin, running your league, also with commentary, Admin Box has developed a unique tool to help you out. High quality materials, and just a push of a button can get you going. Admin Box is going to be helping out with our stewarding, and it's wonderful to have them here at HPR. But Brad, I have to say, I'm looking forward to how each of the cars are going to navigate through the traffic and who's going to be able to eke out that extra lap on the rest of the field. As we've seen, it's been quite a good one. If you can get about a lap over your competition, you can move yourself forward. That being said, Watkins can get rather interesting. But take us through our points.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 rounds down, and Adolfo Perez is going to be your current championship leader in LMDH. He's sitting on 111 points, with Adrian Pueblo sitting in second place. Behind him in P3, you're going to find Andres Quevedo, and Landon Stewart and Daniel Boquero will round out your top 5 in LMDH. And over in LMP2, Ryan Anderson, he's got himself a commanding lead so far in this championship. Early days still, though, as Juan Santiago Barrios will look to run him down, but he's currently tied with Jason Blaine, so got his hands full in that battle for second in the championship. Carlos Ruiz and Andrew Bruce will round out your top 5 in LMP2. Steven, who we got over in GTD?
Well, we've got for our GTD Pro, Avery Hart has been at the top of the leaderboard with Daniel Pino holding on second on 86 points. Kutsev is sitting on 72 points, Aldo Seklin on 66, and Federico Callio rounding out our top 5 of our GTD Pro. And now moving on to our GTD, it's Curtis Polito that sits with 106, Noah South sits on 75 points, Alex Korfestein sits on 59, Matthew Knoll in 4th place on 55, and 1 point behind him is Donald Ingram. So our GTD looking a lot closer than the GTD Pro, and that really does give you a bit of an insight of how close the championship is. Since it's only round 4 of an 8-round championship, we look towards Monza at round 5, and it looks like we might be going into rain to make things a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that didn't tickle your fancy enough, round 6, we get nighttime running at Indianapolis. And then to round out the season, we've got Brazil. And, well, since the development blog didn't have any mention of Bahrain in it, I suspect we will round out the season at Fuji on June 25th.
That's going to be a great one. And that being said, we got 4 minutes and 48 seconds left of qualifying as we do keep a look at our prototypes at the top of the board. Adolf Perez currently with that 132.8 leads out the LDMH field. Ryan Anderson leading out the LMP2 field with a 136.6. Our GTDs, it's Daniel Pino leads out the top with a 143.4, and Noah South leads out the GTD class with a 144.4. So really close in times, but extremely fast pace out there.
Yeah, absolutely. As we bring up our provisional pole sitter here on the screen with Adolfo Perez in the number 92 Porsche 963. A little bit different, but also a little bit of the same to what we had in qualifying at Spa, where we had the Porsches lock out the top 5 positions. But right now, Daniel Boquero and the Ferrari and Christian Ruiz and the BMW are spoiling that party for the top 5. But Porsche's still looking strong. You've got Tim Keen, who, if you remember, had that outrageous move down the Kemmel straightaway, just came from absolutely nowhere and made up 3 spots in one go of it. He's currently sitting in P6 at the moment. But for Christian Ruiz, he was having a strong run in the BMW, who's certainly spoiling Porsche's day. But the man who came out on top of the spoiled party was Daniel Boquero in the Ferrari. He made that fuel strategy work in his favor. And Stephen, as you mentioned, if drivers are able to do the overcut and be able to save some fuel, it seems to be working to their favor in this league so far this season. As we're on board here with Jason Lane, he's working his way through the carousel, heading down into the boot. And Steven, you and I just got done doing an endurance racer on Watkins Glen. How about you take us through some of your favorite parts of the circuit?
Well, I have to say my favorite is actually heading into the boot. It's somewhere you've got to get yourself nice and settled to get going. It's also a best point to do a little bit of lift off and coast into the corners, then get right onto the throttle as hard as possible. Once again, instead of braking later, you can actually come off the throttle at about 200, get yourself in through the corner and gently start accelerating your way to the top as we jump on board with Daniel Boquero doing exactly that. A little bit of a lift, a little bit of throttle to get himself going. There's so many different points, especially through this coming left-hander, where you can actually save a lot of fuel. Just come off, coast your way through, and get back onto the throttle. That can save you that 0.1 of a lap that can be make or break before you head down the long straight. So slipstreaming is definitely going to be your best friend around the circuit. But, I mean, Brian, you went and saw how difficult it was at Spa having the GTPs, well, having our GTPs and our LMP2s running similar lap times. I mean, Ryan Anderson at the moment has managed to set a 136.6, which slots him ahead of Jace Larson and is really on the back of Travis Stevens at this stage of the game, as Wig Santiago managing to pull himself up with a 136.6, but our LMP2s very close in time to the back end of the GTPs.
Yeah, absolutely. For the fast LMP2 drivers, there is definitely some overlap with some of the slower GTP drivers. And at a place like Watkins Glen, where you make your lap time up differently for the GTPs versus the LMP2s, you're looking at outright speed of the hybrid compared to a little bit more downforce on the naturally aspirated LMP2 car. But the other thing, too, that these drivers will have to contend with, and there's a perfect example as we see Carlos Ruiz Padilla navigate turn one, is the curbing. Watkins Glen recently went through a visual refresh. You see it there with the blue, red, and yellow curbing all throughout the circuit, but it got new curbing, and with that you have to approach certain corners differently. You cannot attack the curbs of the bus stop. Perfect timing. Thank you, Carlos, for demonstrating that. And so our drivers have to be aware, and certainly I know from experience in LMP2, you can high center the car very easily and it will just grab it like Velcro and holding on to it, and you're fighting to get it off of there. And so for drivers, not only will they have to be battling their own class traffic, but they've got to be battling the track too.
That's it. So easily can beach in terms of the prototypes, but also makes life a little bit more difficult for our GT3 cars. The GTD Pro and the GTDs are going to really have to attack the curbs as hard as possible, at the same time lightens up the cars. But it's Adrian Pabula that currently holds on to the top of the LDMH. Ryan Anderson at the top of the LMP2. But how's this in the top 5? Nigel Langley in the Cadillac managing to get himself up, and as talking about it, he manages to get a meatball flag going and getting a little bit of damage on his car. But also the Ferrari, Daniel Becquero, lying in 6th place at the moment, while Landon Stewart out in the Acura holds 3rd. As Chris Newman, coming out of the final corner, has exactly one of the biggest problems about it. If you get in a little bit too hot, you're going to find that lovely Onco barrier is more than happy to take a bit of spare parts home.
Yeah, absolutely. Using every inch of the track and then some to try and eke out his best lap there, but unfortunately you scrape the wall, you get yourself a 0x, and iRacing will disallow your time even if you didn't pick up any damage there or gain any time. As we see Andres Quevedo, he's done with qualifying, he brings it back down pit road, and Carlos Padilla, he's trying to get another lap in. With it being open qualifying, if he got this lap started before the timer expired, he will be allowed to finish it. Jace Larson, he also greets that Armco barrier with arms wide open there.
And I instantly started I was instantly just thinking about a song that came to mind when that all happened. But with that being said, qualifying is just about done and dusted. We've got our driver cams out, and you can see everyone keeping their eyes focused, trying to keep their arms just relax. But I've got to say, the Pimax, oh man, that is one of the best ways to go racing. Out in VR, you get yourself caught up in the car and you don't have to worry about distractions on the outside, and also makes it a little bit easier to look into the apex, especially coming into the pit lane here, where stuff can go really wrong. That being said, we move on to looking towards our race, and Brian, I've got to say I'm looking forward to this. Round 4 of the championship right here for the HPR Imsa. And we have got Adrian Pabula currently at the top of the leaderboard with Adolf Perez starting next to him in P2. Landon Stewart in the Acura will hold on to P3 with Andres Quivido. Nigel Langley, Daniel Bequero in P6. Jace Lawson followed by Tim Keane. Wick Santiago in the Cadillac along with Travis Stevens rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, P11, we find the lone BMW of Christian Ruiz, and next to him will be our LMP2 pole sitter and Ryan Anderson. Lincoln Shaw will line up in P2 in LMP2, but P13 on the grid. To his outside, we got Juan Santiago Barrios. Behind them, you got Corey Patton in his Porsche 963 and Chris Newman back in the LMP2 class. Next row is Carlos Ruiz Padilla. Next to him will be Kenneth Clauden. And then you got Jason Blaine and Andrew Bruce in P20.
And we've got more. It's Daniel Powell in 21st with Brandon McMinnis, who holds on to P22. Daniel Pino, our senpai, in 23rd with Lucas Kozno in 24th. Aldo Seklin with Matseve Kutsev in 26th. Luca Tossi in P27, Ryan Frankenberry in P28 with no space, and Andrew Davis holds on to P30.
P31, Curtis Paulus finds himself lining up there with Gonzalo Abascal next to him. Matthew Noel will be in P33 with Donald Ingram. Will Adam and Gareth Calber will round out your top 36. Liam Habul in P37, Gavin Cambry in P38, Matt Last Rooster for DNR Racing will be in P39, and P40 we find Edward Delano.
And rounding out the back of the pack, it's Cisco Rodriguez in P21, Brandon Dittmer in 32. Nicholas Lancer didn't quite get a lap in, and he's going to be holding on for 43rd with Santiago Dorelli, Jacob Grubb, Alex Kufushin and Scott Farrell rounding out the pack as our drivers start to get rolling behind our safety car right here at Watkins Glen. And that being said, this is going to be a exciting race, and hopefully the writing on the wall there is not to be followed. We don't want to see bowling into T1, but our drivers are going to need to warm up those tires as we've got everyone starting to move forward. But it's interesting to see LMP2s going and having GTPs amongst them, but also our GT3s having LMP2s sitting in their field for the class split as well.
Yeah, 47 cars strong tonight. Traffic will definitely be an issue. Unfortunately, don't have quite the lap length that our drivers enjoyed at Spa last week, but it is still a very wide, very modern racetrack here in the upstate region of New York. As we see our Porsche pace car lead a Porsche lockout of the front row. We've seen this so far quite often, but Stephen, as we saw with Spa last week, how you qualify is not necessarily how you're going to finish the race. As the Ferrari of down in 6th had a heck of a race start and ended up leaping up 3 or 4 positions, if my memory recalls correctly, and ended up going on to win the race. So similar setup seems to be developing for round 4 here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Much like Daytona, where we had Landon Stewart in the Acura able to move his way up through the order. But it's 35 degrees out on track. It is clear and the temperature is 23 degrees, but track temp is extremely hot. Brian, as a driver, what is the concerns of having a track temperature of 35 degrees out there, especially for our drivers that are trying to get some heat into their tires? It looks like the track is going to assist them plus more at the moment.
Yeah, I always like to joke that racing at Watkins Glen, we might as well be racing on the surface of the sun. I can't remember the time that I had a race around here that it was normal track temps. So definitely won't have a problem getting heat in the tires, but the opposite problem will be something they'll have to contend with, which is burning the tires off as the race gets towards the end of the hour mark. We will be running for 60 minutes here tonight, and so if pit stop will be required, we'll be curious if any of our drivers take 2 or 4 tires tonight. especially with the hot track temps. That could work to an advantage if somebody wants to be bold.
And it's going to be an interesting one, and the front right is most certainly going to get a bit of an impact, but it's always the front left that will be feeling the pain as our drivers will get themselves going. But that being said, our safety car leads out through the back end of the circuit, and our drivers are at the ready. It's going to be Adrian and Adolf who will be lining up next to one another. They'll see the safety car go, and already it's just trying to see who can move forward. Adrian looking to get a jump off the line, backs the field up as they wait. And green, we go racing. Corey Patton, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's chaos off the start. And unfortunately, our previous race winner landing up with a world of hurt, our Ferrari. But here comes the LMP2s as they get themselves going.
Yeah, thankfully most of those drivers involved towing are able to get going, so the LMP2 start is uninhibited. But Steven, a little bit of commentator's curse. You said that we didn't want to see them go bowling, and they didn't even make it to the go bowling sign before they went bowling.
Yeah, no, that's moving on very swiftly. Not quite what we want to have. And here is the replay of it as jump off the line. Everyone gets started. And it's Daniel Bequero who jumped out. There was not much room and actually landing up taking out our 5th place Cadillac at the start there, unfortunately going and having Nigel Langley getting caught up in an accident. I'm sure he's not going to be too impressed with that one. Tim Keen, however, on the charge, trying to move his way up through the order, now putting a bit of pressure on and seeing if he can try and get past our Porsche up ahead of him. Going to be some hard work to try and get that done and dusted. Jace Larson hoping to get the runaway at the moment. Jace going and holding the number 1 on the car, previous champion here in HPR, now trying to get the rolling out. I see Tim Keen with his profile picture. That 100cc stock kart is absolutely wonderful to see. Landon Stewart, however, moving his way up through the order. The Acura not one to be caught out, holding on to 2nd place with Adrian just ahead of him, and Adolf Perez right in 3rd place, trying to see if he can make up a bit of time. But each of the drivers running out a little bit wide. Got to be careful not to pick up those incident points.
Yeah, Jace Larson saw in the back of the shot there dive into pit lane. Not sure if this is a penalty from last race or if he picked up damage that he's coming in to get fixed. Have to keep an eye on that storyline as the race develops. But Travis Stevens, just by keeping his foot measured on the loud pedal and staying out of trouble, he's already up 5 spots, and they've only done a lap and a half, Steven.
And Wig Santiago going and giving him a little bit of a rough time as well. Our LMDH field having a stunning run, but we've got racing up and down through the order, but we're already starting to see our LMDH is starting to lock up the brakes, going and really trying to push that a little bit harder, and they haven't quite caught up to the GT3 field as yet, as Corey Patton unfortunately getting a meatball flag as well. That's going to throw him down the order, not quite where he wanted to be. Christian Rees holds on to the back of the Cadillacs as he tries to get his BMW up through the mark. Let's see where it's going to exactly take him. But let's take a look. Liam Hubble going and trying to keep himself out on the circuit with the Porsche 992. And just has a little bit of a spin and into the wall, the rear end kicking out underneath him and trying to get that car turned around. Nearly got it done with a full 360, but you can see it's getting rather busy as cars are starting to make their way through towards him. I'm sure Liam trying to get going and back into the pits to get that car sorted out. Will be thinking what he needs to do. Aldo Secklin trying to deal with Daniel all over the back of him. Daniel Pino is not one to be caught out and is absolutely racing his heart out for Senpai right now. But Aldo Secklin holds on to the top of the order for the GTD Pro as they make their way through. Black flag coming in for Daniel Bequera, so it is only getting worse for the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, that would be probably incident responsibility for that schmozzle on the green flag that we saw there getting into the side of Nigel Langley. And Jace Larson is back down pit road again, if my timing and scoring is correct. Not sure if he's having maybe some hardware issues or what's going on for him, but one of our championship contenders, and as you said, defending champion, certainly not having a good week tonight. And after having a rough night at Spa last week, I'm sure he was hoping for a redemption race. Doesn't look like that's going to be tonight. But speaking of redemption, Landon Stewart, though, he's got himself up into second place. And just as we saw at Long Beach, he is running down Adrian Puebla, and he wants to lead this race if he can get there.
Yeah, going to give it everything he's got, managing to slice his way through so far bits of our GTD field. Aston Martin going and not getting caught up in any trouble, and that's Andrew Davis, who is just trying to keep himself going, currently holds on for 4th place. But moving on to our LMP2s, Ryan Anderson managing to open up a little bit of room to the rest as Laken Shaw and Jan Santiago Burris fight it out. The Barbie car chases down Laken Shaw, Canadian having to really think out of the box here as Jan is keeping the pressure on, keeping himself in the slipstream, and also keeping his foot firmly buried to the floor. No saving bit of fuel there. He is absolutely hunting down that 2nd place, but not putting too much of a fight into it, as he knows one little mishap between himself and Laken Shaw will give Ryan just enough time to run wide and get going. But Jan is absolutely trying to keep his foot in it all the way through and not wanting to lose any bit of time right now.
Now, as you saw there, Juan Barrios definitely had a better run out of the inner loop and looked to make a outside pass into the carousel. Hard to do there, but made the best of it. Definitely taking advantage of these tires still being fresh, as they're only a few laps into this race. But for Lincoln Shaw, he's also looking to have a good result after a couple of disappointing rounds. And for Ryan Anderson, our championship leader at the moment, he's doing everything he needs to. He's leading the race and trying to run away from these guys, and he's hoping they'll start battling and allow that gap to stretch a little bit more.
And also taking a look, Aldo Secklin, who was leading out our race, running into a black flag. There is Daniel trying to have a run at him. He does mind out of the way, and Aldo Secklin getting a black flag. Looks like he retires out of the race from leading the GTD Pro, now out of the running. That's going to affect the points and really cause a bit of havoc, as we did see Jan managing to get ahead of Laken Shaw. That means Daniel Pinto now leads the GTD Pro field out in the Mercedes, but he is getting hunted down by Lucia Tossi, who's right behind him. Ryan Frankenberry will be also giving a hard charge to try and move his way up through the order, but there is a little Merc that's sitting in the background, going and keeping a bit of pressure there, and that's Noah Sauce, who currently leads our GTD field. And meatball flag for Jan Santiago Barros, who was in a solid run. Jan Santiago now running into a world of trouble. Watkins Glen picking up some spare parts here from the entirety of the field. What on earth happened? Heading in to the bus stop, trying to get it going. Oh, mounting the curbs. We spoke about it. Jumped up in the air, and unfortunately, pieces of the car after impacting the wall.
Yeah, Ken's going to have a talk with Barbie about their insurance premiums going up after the last couple of rounds. But unfortunately for Jan Barrios, met the dismay of the curbing in the bus stop. As you said, we talked about it in our pre-race show, and unfortunately got a taste of it firsthand there. As we currently look at Jason Blaine in the highlighter yellow LMP2, trying his best to get a ride on those curbs. Some of these guys would make Tony Hawk very jealous with their grinds that they're pulling off right now. As unfortunately for Jason Blaine, he's going to lose a position there to the 28 of Andrew Bruce as a result of doing that grind at the exit of turn 10.
Andrew Bruce also going and biting the wall as well by the looks of it, and not having the easiest of time. I've got a question. so far, we are in 55 minutes. We've 10 minutes into this race. It is an hour long. And we have seen a good couple of retirements out of the race. We've seen a good, solid amount of impacts against the wall. Brian, in your mind, what do the drivers need to consider during this race? Because there's some hard charges out there, but there's also a lot of time to be lost.
Yeah, exactly. I think for a lot of these drivers, they just need to back off the go pedal just a smidge. You know, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do if you end up in a wall and you're sitting on pit road with your helmet in your hand saying, why did I do that? So for Noah Schaus, he's doing the right thing. He's our GTD leader. He's just kind of sitting calm and steady. He's got a commanding lead in class as somebody else picked up a meatball flag. I didn't catch that, but looks like according to time and scoring, that was Gareth Calver in the number 77 BMW. The Cats machine. Oh, goodness me.
Daniel Bequero.
Oh, he's going to pick up another penalty for that, I'm sure. He is not having a good night behind the wheel of that Ferrari. Not sure what he was thinking there as he was alongside him. Not sure the hip check was necessary there, but...
yeah. Oh, not what we want to see there. And Daniel Bequero trying to get past and into the braking. Not enough room between both cars, and unfortunately for Gareth, it's straight into the wall. I think a little bit of frustration, as well as it wasn't really slowing the car down dramatically after the impact. But that is going and changing things up, as we do see quite a few of our LMP2s now trying to slice their way through a bit of our GTD field. Chris Newman at the moment currently running in fourth. He's exactly where he started, but he's under pressure. Kenneth Cloden holding on to the back of him, trying to see where exactly he can move forward and how much can he give to really close up to the rest of the field. Kenneth Cloden has had some great moments in previous races where he's shown some great pace. Unfortunately, it's been consistency that's bit him every single time, where he's able to put in those fast laps, but towards the end of the race tends to have that slowdown that comes into effect, as Landon Stewart trying to navigate his way through the GTD field. Oh, that's a problem with the 196, and that is Landon Stewart. Unfortunately, nowhere to go, and one Porsche going and absolutely eliminating his race, and that was Matlas Rooster getting caught out, and unfortunately Landon Stewart just became an unfortunate casualty in that.
Yeah, Porsche's not having a good night here, as we see Alex Kaforsian losing the back end again, going down into the boot section. I was just looking at time and scoring and noticed that Landon had dropped down the orderings in the pits, and that was a perfect cue up for the cameras there, or must have been connected on the mental wavelength there. But yeah, just unfortunate innocent victim there of the Daniel Newman Racing Porsche losing it in front of him, exiting the bus stop, and Liam Abul, another Porsche. I'll tell you, I'm a Porsche fan, but the back ends of these 911 GT3Rs can kill you in an instant if you're not prepared for it. They just love snapping around, especially if you're running too little of downforce.
It used to be the old saying, Porsche doing Porsche things, if I remember correctly.
You would be correct, and they still do Porsche things if you're not careful to them. As much as the car has improved, physics still wants to have a hand every once in a while. But Stephen, to your point, I am quite surprised at the level of carnage we have seen in the race here tonight. I thought maybe after Spa, some of our drivers would have wanted to have some tempering of driving decisions, but unfortunately, if that was the case, they've forgotten all about it, which tends to happen once you put the helmet on.
It's going to be a very long race, that's for certain. Curtis Policio trying to see where exactly he can get past in the McLaren. Looks down the inside of the Porsche. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get it done. He's currently running second in the GTD class, taking on Ryan Frankenberry who holds on to third for the GTD Pro class. And once again, you've got these driver levels between the GTDs, but it's exactly the same cars out there. And so far, our GTD drivers are putting pressure on the GTD Pro drivers, especially at the sharp end of the field. And we do see Landon back out on the track after having to use a fast repair, but he's got a long way to go to try and pull himself back towards the sharp end of the field and trying to navigate the traffic. It's not making it any easier out there. But also for the GT3s, you are at the mercy of what momentum and weight get in. And for the LMP2s and the hypercurls, the LMDHs, they are able to navigate with utilizing aero. They're able to get right going past. It's up to the faster car to get past safely. But for the GT3s, well, understeer is a factor of note that can bite you.
Yeah, and sometimes it's oversteer, as we saw with Landon Stewart and the Daniel Newman Racing Porsche of Matt Last Rooster. But yeah, I love what High Point has done with the GTD Pro and the GTD, and to see the drivers mix it up between the two classes, because as you said, the cars are the same, the driver rankings theoretically aren't, but just like in real life IMSA, you can see some really fast GTD guys that can take the fight to those factory drivers in GTD Pro, and it just makes for some fantastic racing. So well done to High Point for recreating that on the virtual stage, as we see a three-way battle on the picture-in-picture between the 86 of Donald Powell, the 28 of Andrew Bruce, and Nicholas Lanciers lingering in the background as well. Oh, sorry, no, that is Jan Barrios, who is a lap down in the Barbie machine. I should have recognized that from a million miles away with that hot pink car back there.
Albero's trying to close up and see if he can get a lap back, but he's also can't get too involved in the fight ahead of him. Andrew Bruce, Donald Powell, and Kenneth Cloden keeping each other busy at the moment. But also, let's take a look. Andrew Bruce trying to accelerate as hard as possible. He's going right into the rev range, seeing if he can move forward, and getting a lot of pressure from Jan right behind him. Now the question comes in, is Jan going to try and make a pass, and that might cause a little bit of a foul up, as Kenneth Cloden getting caught up behind one of the Daniel Newman Racing machines, and that slows him up a little bit down. LMP2's trying to get past the GT3. Cisco Rodriguez throws himself out wide, brakes hard for the final corner, and that's going to foul up his drive, but doesn't want to get too involved with the LMP2 field, but it does also cost him a bit of time to his teammate further up the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we see one of our biggest movers of the race, and Scott Farrell in the 134 McLaren. He's up 7 spots on the day so far, and he's hunting for more, as he's right on the back end of Gavin Cambrai. Both of them, though, have a little issue getting into the bus stop. That's going to kind of hold things stationary for the time being.
Great to see drivers moving forward and others having a little bit more of a difficult time. Ryan Anderson currently up to 6th overall in this race and leading out the LMP2 field. Wig Santiago trying to get a little bit of a run at the moment. He's dealing with Corey Patton, who hasn't had the easiest of drives. Cisco Rodriguez will see the fellow DNR car ahead of him and will be mining out of the way. And we're going to try and send it down the inside as well. So easy run through, not too much of a time loss for both of our LMDH drivers. And Cisco just watching his mirrors like an absolute hawk and trying to position his car in somewhat where he doesn't lose too much time, but at the same time doesn't want to foul up the rest of the classes as well around him. But Matt Last Rooster, who's also had a bit of a tough time out there, the 198 that had an intimate moment with one of our LMDHs earlier on, but now going and moving out very, very wide, gets a poor drive onto the main straight, but Wig Santiago nails it around the outside, gets himself sorted. Wig is not wanting to lose time to Corey Patton ahead of him.
Yeah, but you see, they're in turn one having a little bit of a moment with understeer. That's going to cost them some time, especially on this run down through the S's. And speaking of the S's, this battle for LMP6 in class is certainly heating up, and you got the lap down car of Juan Barrios in the mix as well. That's going to add some aggravations to Andrew Bruce and Donald Powell, as not only do they have to battle each other, but they also have to battle the LMP2 lap down car, as Andrew Bruce gets a nice sniff up the back end from Donald Powell there. Thankfully, Netcode did not intervene and take out either one of those drivers. I wouldn't know anything about Netcode causing incidents.
Just taking a sniff to see whether he's running 93 or 95 in that tank, that's for certain. But young Barrios not getting the easiest runaway. He sees Kenneth Cloden ahead of him and trying to get past, and also trying to navigate past the GTD 3-year-olds. Getting a bit busy out there, as we do see Donald Powell going and losing out the drive. Andrew Bruce moves up to 6th. Donald trying to give it a little bit of gas, seeing if he could close up, as they caught behind Scott Farrell out in the McLaren. He's 9th in class, and all of a sudden getting mobbed by the LMP2 field and also the hypercars of Corey Patton that were going to be right behind him. It is turning into a wild moment. Donald Powell looked towards the inside. He got fouled up and lost a bit of drive. And here comes the LMDH going and threading the needle. It is busy out there, and doesn't matter where you are in the field. This is turning into a bit of a close one, as Wig got close to Donald. That is a very scary moment, as a GTD, as a LMP2 and a hypercar, everyone in panic mode right now. But young Santiago trying to go down the inside of Kenneth Cloden in towards the bus stop. Showed his nose. Kenneth gets out of shape. He's trying to watch everyone. Oh, as we do have Donald Powell going and getting past the likes of Andrew Bruce, who cut the chicane a little bit. It is manic out in the field.
Yeah, manic is a perfect word to describe that. And for our GTD drivers, they're sitting in the cockpit going, I wish I could make this a micro machine just so I can get out of everybody's way. But at the same time, as you saw from Donald Powell, who with the headlight flash to Wig Santiago didn't appreciate the little hip check he got in turn 1. Cars can't disappear, so everybody's got to share the same real estate. And speaking of Donald Powell and Andrew Bruce, that battle is still on, as there's a little bit of touch there.
Oh, bad touch, bad touch. Don't do that one.
Yeah, don't touch the no square there. Andrew Bruce tries to get Donald Powell a little bit loose there, but everybody is able to keep their composure and keep going in the right direction. I would say things have calmed down a little bit, but I don't want to believe that for a second.
And a bit of a late choice for Andrew Bruce, who was thinking about going into the pits, second-guessed it, then thought about it again, second-guessed it. And I think the concrete wall decided his fate to dive into the pits following suit as well. Adolf Perez going and running in 2nd place at the moment. He's trying to catch up to Adrian Pabula just ahead of him. And Corey Patton going and fighting out with our Cadillac of Wig Santiago onto the back of him as well. Also keeping an eye on the LMP2 field. The 87 of Chris Newman holding on to 4th position at the moment in the LMP2. Suddenly gonna get mobbed by the LMDHs. There's a big look down the inside of Wig, trying to push that Cadillac a little bit further up, and unfortunately running into the Porsche of Corey Patton, who's not going to be giving that little bit of room. He's going to fight out all the way to the bank here, and it's absolutely tremendous to see the drivers giving it everything they can. It's a little bit of a squeeze on the 18 of Jacob Grubb, who unfortunately had to go and lift right off the throttle there, costing him a little bit of time as well. He's running 4th in class, but man, oh man, a bit of a moment for all our classes, and the tails getting a little bit loose as well.
Yeah, Lincoln Shaw, you see there picking up a black flag. That's our LMP2 second place. Not sure what that is for. I don't think it would be for incident, so it must be for incident responsibility.
Well, unfortunately, that's going to take him down out of the top 3. Nigel Langley trying to get himself going as well. And we do see a number of cars up on the jacks, some getting repaired, some getting their tires done. And well, you spoke about it at the start, Brian, of who is going to have the run out the pits, who's going to be able to not take tires. I think majority of our field are going to be wanting to take a new fresh set of tires after lockups, after some interesting moments out there. This here, Tusi trying to get going in the Ferrari, currently second in class, started in fifth, and just been going through the motions right now. And this here not having the easiest of times, trying to keep up the fight with Noah Strauss right on the back, leader of our GTD field, applying that little bit of pressure in the Jägermeister car, and can't go wrong by just following in the slip right now.
Yeah, just looking at timing of scoring Lincoln Shaw, who is exiting the pits now, I'm wondering if he actually got his black flag for an unsafe pit entry. As you saw with Donald Powell and Andrew Bruce, they almost bundled up entering the pits. And speaking of bundling up, Lucia Tosi bundled up the exit of the final corner there and went and greeted the outside wall. Doesn't look like picked up any damage there. So that, in all actuality, could have been some netcode contact. That is not netcode contact between Andrew Bruce and Kenneth Cloden. A little bit of tandem drift there going into the boot.
Yep.
I can only imagine the hand gestures being thrown around the cockpits of those cars at the moment.
Listening in a little bit to the radio, it's Kenneth Cloden getting told, what was that? And unfortunately, he tried looking for the inside, just had the rear slip out underneath him, not enough room. But for the 28, going and saying, well, not quite what he wanted to have. And unfortunately, Andrew Bruce going and kissing the wall. Kenneth down the inside once again. Andrew trying to give him a little bit of room there. And also, now they've got a bit of a problem as Jason Blaine has caught up to the back of him and in full VR fashion can see the back of these cars. And they touch again. And Jason Blaine survives it through. Calm, cool, and collected, might I add. Didn't freeze up, didn't straighten his arms. He was relaxed. But Kenneth Cloden, unfortunately, broken and will need a tow back to pits. But is he trying to roll that car? No.
I think he was trying to until he realized the drive shafts left the chat. But yeah, unfortunately, Steven, I feel like that was brewing after the initial contact. I don't think that was anything other than maybe payback, as we see the replay of the first incident there for Kenneth Cloden. And well, for Andrew Bruce, he's decided he was going to repay the favor here as Kenneth tries to hang it around the outside. And well, you know, seeing the overhead, that might have been on Kenneth again. He might have just cleared himself off the front end of Andrew's car.
Oh, Jason Blaine was so lucky. If you take a look at these two, he was still giving it everything he can, sees the incident up ahead of him, and just take a look at the smallest of gaps, the chances to see the cars move over to the left-hand side. But Kenneth Cloden in slow-mo, oh man, that just looks incredibly rough to see one Dallara suddenly going from LMP2 to, I would say, a Saka car at the moment, broken to pieces. Andres Quevedo currently running in 8th position. He started out in 4th, hasn't had the easiest of runs there. Nigel Langley, however, from landing up as a smashed out car off the start of the race, well, it's nice to see the pink running back up into the top 10. Landon Stewart holding on to the last of the top 10. Will be trying to see what he can do to close up to these two. Yeah, and for the rest of our GTP runners, they're cycling through their pit stops. Top 3 in class, though, Adrian Puebla, Adolfo Perez, and Tim Keane all have not made their trips down pit lane yet. They are going for the overcut strategy over everybody else. Christian Ruiz, who is the highest placed of our non-Porsche drivers. And on cue, Adrian Puebla makes his way down pit road for his service a little bit before the halfway mark in this race. And Adolfo Perez, he will go on for at least one more lap. So he navigates around the GTD leading Mercedes of Noah Strauss there.
making their way up through the tricky S's.
Now, how far can you run on a Porsche battery? But that being said, we're at the halfway mark and we've got to talk about setups, because so far it's down to who can get that little bit of fuel out of their cars. And Hymo has taken that into consideration with all the setups made by professionals, for sim racers, by sim racers. And so far we've seen the Hymo setups able to move up through the orders, putting in some great lap times as well. Shout out to Hymo. And winners of tonight will get a 1-month subscription to Hymo. And at the end of the season, it's a 1-year subscription that's going to be handed out to the different classes. Absolutely wonderful to have them there. Monster Designs, if you want to have a look that outdoes the entire field, whether it's team or your personal livery, Monster Designs has you covered, and you will stand out from the rest of the pack. No need for just those generic designs. Have your own by Monster Design. And also a shout out to Admin Box, because it's working overtime here with our stewards for a easy solution to handling all the admin, whether it's league, whether you are going and controlling the race, or as a driver. It has a use as well. Admin Box got you covered, made for iRacing, at a finger's touch, easy plug and play running from them. Absolutely wonderful to know we got those type of solutions around. But that being said, the 666 unfortunately not quite having its run and catches the wall on the way through. Edward Delno going, unfortunately getting caught out, and does have Daniel Pinot that was on the back of him that suddenly had to come off the gas as well, seeing fellow Mercedes catching the wall. And Adrian Pabrula going and having a moment, and not quite sure what happened there. Just couldn't quite turn the car. And Adrian catching the wall. He's going to be most certainly feeling that one. Not quite what he wanted to have in the Porsche.
No, definitely not. That looked very similar to a car changing lanes on the highway due to texting while driving. Not accusing anybody of anything, but either way, that's not a greeting to the Armco that he was looking to do in the race tonight. But Tim Keen, last of our runners to make a pit stop. He has not come down to pit lane yet. I suspect he will at the end of this lap, though, as he's trying to duplicate the strategy that Daniel Vaquero pulled off last week of, if you can make it to the halfway mark, you only have to do one pit stop and you can fuel save your way to the end of the race from there. And speaking of Daniel Vaquero, he picked up a meatball flag again, so his night has gone from bad to worse, unfortunately. I suspect he might be retiring that car here shortly after he has already used his fast repair from the lap 1 incident.
Yeah, not quite what he wanted to have. Tim Keen diving into the pits after having a solid run out these, followed through by Ryan Frankenberry. So the two Porsches diving into pit lane, the Misfits Racing, trying to have a stellar run out there. Adolf Perez navigating his way through, but has got Christian Rees onto the back of him. The BMW now hunting down the Porsches. Come on, Christian, show what the car can do before we get the BMW Evo that's got the smaller snout. Time to open up and give it everything you can with the whale shark as he chases down Adolf Perez. They get past Chris Newman, who minds out of the way. He does not want to get involved in a fight, and for the first time in this race, we've got the BMW up into the podium spots. Christian holding on to second, Adolf down to third, and Adrian holds on to the lead. But here it gets a little bit busy as Daniel Pinot has to mind out of the way. No uwu there, more of a scared moment as he does see these two go through. Unfortunately, Adolf Perez goes straight on. A little bit of a how are you doing coming from the BMW, but Adolf Perez would have a slowdown as well. And not quite what they wanted to have, but well done on Adolf to straight line it instead of trying to make the corner that could possibly end in tears. Oh, let's take a look at that one. And Brian, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, for Adolfo Perez, I'm sure he wanted to get a little bit more room there turning into the bus stop, but had to shortcut it to save the car. And for Christian Ruiz, I don't think he expected him to be there waiting for him on the exit, as you put it so eloquently. Gave him a how do you do, little love tap on the exit there, as Adolfo had to drop back and serve his slow down. And what was a neck and neck, oh goodness, before we get to that, Donald Ingram has blown the hood off of his car thanks to hitting a wayward Porsche 963. Andres Quevedo looks like he got it wrong, exiting the bus stop and spun back out into the middle of the track, and for the poor Mercedes, just had nowhere to go there.
And one McLaren just avoiding it as well, but not exactly one you have. And this is Carlos Ruiz Padilla out in the LMP2. It just splits it down the middle, going, okay, that is just close. But Andres Quevedo going and moving the car off the line. Unfortunately, a double toe there. But Porsche modifications to a Mercedes, don't think that's going to be much to be desired. Porsche rear engine, rear wheel drive, Mercedes front engine going and having advanced cooling put in, not quite what he wanted to have. One driver who is just trying to keep it out on track is our leader of the GTD Pro, and that is Daniel Pino, looking to score major points here tonight and not wanting to get caught up. He does make his way through. He does see Wig Santiago in that Cadillac trying to make up a bit of time as well. Santiago been having a bit of a moment trying to get the drive out of the car. The Cadillac not having the easiest of runs. Now looks down the inside. Will have plenty of power, but backing way off. He's got a black flag to serve, so drive-through needs to be done. He looked to try and get past, but decided, no, I'm enjoying the view from behind here.
Yeah, thankfully playing it smart when he had a black flag of not potentially ruining anybody else's races with a dodgy pass. Something you probably will not see in officials, unfortunately, which is the beauty of league racing. As we're on board here with Gavin Cambrai heading down into the boot. He's in hot pursuit of that teal McLaren you see up ahead, driven by Scott Farrell, the 134 driver currently sitting P6 in GTD. So we see that multicolored Mercedes close way up under the brakes for the toe of the boot. And they start climbing the hill towards the heel. Gap stretches ever so slightly in favor of the McLaren. And the Mercedes closes right back under the brakes.
Scott Farrell just giving a thumbs up and just saying, good job, have a good one there. Come chase me down at the moment, as he's trying to keep it going. And on the bottom right, Brandon Dimitter trying to keep himself going, running 29th at the moment. Not having the easiest of races out in the 83. And he is not wanting to go and lose a bit of time there as well. So he's keeping the pressure on. He's keeping on going. It's wonderful that he is out having a bit of fun in the BMW, but he's keeping a very close eye on the battling. In the Mustang. Oh, sorry. This is a little bit of contact coming in, and unfortunately, Gavin Cambrai going and having his nose taken off. Advanced cooling for the Mercedes, as getting checked out by the McLaren. I know that they were together at one stage of the game in designs, but not quite what they wanted to have. Brandon Dimitter, however, in the Mustang now sees his opportunity. He will have the straight line on Gavin and starting to hunt down blood in the water. He can smell it and wants that 7th position and seeing if he can close up. It is going to be a hard run, and he's getting told, get wrapped. Well, he's going to do everything he can for Team USA. Around the outside, it is Mustang power. Can he gallop away the two V8s? Giving a hunt down, but it's going to be Brandon, who will be more than happy to eke out ahead. Gavin fights back around the outside. Corey Patton, seeing these two fighting out, will be wanting to clear past as fast as possible. He's getting hunted down by the Cadillac of Nigel Langley. And once again, a busy track. But Brandon Dimitter, from being miles away, now moving up through the order, up into 7th, and will be chasing down that 6th place.
Yeah, a little bit of exhalation from Scott Farrell in the McLaren after seeing the nose becoming detached from his Mercedes Challenger and the subsequent falling down the order that came with it. Is Corey Patton, he will not be exhaling. He's holding his breath as he's got Nigel Langley filling his mirrors with that big throaty 5.5 liter powered V8. As they look down to the inside, this didn't work out well between Scott Farrell and Gavin Cambrai, but it works out so far for Nigel Langley as he gets the move done and dusted, heading up into the S's down the back straightaway towards the bus stop as they work around the Aston Martin of Andrew Davis.
I've got to say, the drive back from Nigel Langley and Corey Patton, two drivers that have had not the easiest of starts to their race, but currently keeping themselves going. But Landon Stewart up in towards 5th position, does hold the fastest lap time of the LMDMH field and doing a darn good job. Some recovery drives and notes out there. Andrew Bruce trying to get his way through the field, but he is also under pressure from a very, very, very familiar LMP2 of Donald Powell going and closing up on the back of him, and Donald getting caught up behind the GTDs, managing to now navigate his way through, going and seeing Andrew Bruce and saying hello once again. Let's try and close the gap as they carry on. Christian Rees currently holds on to 3rd place in the BMW for the LDMH, as Chris Newman now bringing himself out of pit lane. Absolutely crazy, but so far we have seen a variety of drivers giving it everything they can. Landon Stewart back into the pits for the Acura and not having the easiest time out there. Takes a look over to the black box on the right-hand side, gets himself sorted, and now back out on track. A little bit of a catch on the steering as he floored it on the way through, and getting the tremendous power from the LMDHs going and lighting up the rears on the way through. That being said, Brian, I mean, this race is going head over heels. It's going crazy. And we got to talk about some of the racing right now as Jacob Grub trying to move on Curtis Pullier. So we have got battles up and down through the field. It doesn't matter which class you're in, but it is turning into a race down to the wire. 18 minutes left in this, and like even Gavin Cramber at the moment, who is on the back of Matt Last Rooster, not quite having the drive, but still sticking it out despite the damage. He is looking to move his way up through the order in points by the end of this race. It's round 4 of 8. We're halfway through the championship, and every point counts.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some of our drivers that had unfortunate incidents early on in this race, it's going to be a matter of what if, given how close some of these battles have been throughout the race tonight. Certainly could have taken advantage of some others' misfortune. But for those that are out there and battling, like the likes of Lucia Tosi, they're taking advantage as best they can, and they're grabbing the maximum amount of points. As you said, it's going to be halfway through the championship by the end of this round, and so some shuffling of the running order, I suspect, will happen. So we turn our attention back to Jacob Grub battling with Curtis Polisto, a battle of the McLaren drivers here. And although this is not a battle in class, this is a battle overall, as both drivers are sitting P2 and P3 in their respective classes. Jacob Grub is P3 in GTD Pro, and he's chasing Curtis Poliso, who is P2 in GTD. So this is a little bit of a battle of pride as much as it is a battle of overall standing position, as Kenneth Cloden has gone into the pits again, as along with the 13 of Lincoln Shaw.
Getting the final of their pit stops done and dusted, it seems, as a couple of drivers trying to get that little bit of a run. Chris Newman with a bit of damage to the right-hand side of his LMP2, trying to see where can he slot on by between the McLaren, stuck on the outside, and this is a very, very difficult way to get around any car. picking the outside through one of the tightest parts of the circuit. And we also see Nigel Langley getting himself involved. He's trying to slot his way through around the outside. Does foul up the drive of Curtis and allows Jacob to close up the distance and have a superb exit, as Curtis unfortunately not getting the drive. Tries to outbrake into turn one, opting not quite going to work out for him, and rather wait it out. That being said, let's take a look at our field so far. Top three of our LDMH, it's Adrian Pabula along with Adolf Perez and Christian Rees holding on to the top three of the LDMH. LMP2, it's Ryan Anderson, Carlos Rees Padilla in second, and Nicholas Lancers holds on to third place of the LMP2. GTD Pro, it's Daniel Pino, Lucia Tosi along with Jacob Grubb holding on to third, and GTD is Noah Swals, Curtius Poliuso, and Matthew Knoll, who we haven't quite spoken about. Matthew Knoll, but slowly but surely he's been making his way up through the order, staying out of trouble. The Astro Racing just keeping his foot in it and also minding out of any trouble, managing to put himself so far in third place. A solid drive on his part, up 2 positions from where he started, but we haven't spoken much about him during the course of this race. We've spoken about all the variety of others that had some moments between them, and Matthew proving consistency is key right here as Nicholas dives into the pits. So he'll drop out a third in the LMP2 class, and we'll immediately have Andrew Bruce and Donald Powell trying to close up and see if they can get past the Rebellion colours, going and getting overtaken by Andrew Bruce and Donald Powell, who are fighting it out between one another. And Nicholas now getting himself back towards the circuit as the variety of cars, the entirety of the field, come past. And that's one of the most frustrating things, a long pit lane here at Watkins Glen, when you can hear everyone at full throttle, you wanting to join, but you can't get off the button too early. As we've seen, it can bite you in the backside. You got to only release once you pass the green codes.
Absolutely, and we saw that battle between Curtis Poliso and Jacob Grubb earlier. That battle has now evolved as Curtis Poliso is down to half a second for the GTD lead behind Noah Schaus.
A solid run between the cars and running in nose and tail of one another. They do see there's a little bit of chaos ahead of them, and it's all about navigating their way through. They've got Edward Delno, who's 11th in the GTD class. He will be wanting to stay out of any trouble right now, seeing how the front runners are around him, including the front runners of our LDMH. It is Christian trying to see if he can go around the outside and boxed in at the moment. You got plenty of power, but you got to find the space, and he does nail it to the inside, threading the needle of note to try and get past. Travis Stevens as well, going and finding that little bit of room. A bit of a late move, a late lunge, try get it done and dusted, but definitely a hold your breath moment. Hold my drink, watch this.
Absolutely navigating traffic with the best of them. As we see the 51 there with Nicholas Lanciers, he's going to have his go of getting through traffic as he tries to run down the highlighter yellow LMP2 of Jason Blaine just ahead. Ryan Anderson, our LMP2 leader, makes his last pit stop of the race with just over 12 minutes to go.
All our drivers now into the final moments of this race, and I don't think tires are being taken right now. Everyone just trying to give it that hard push, but some close moments for Nicholas as he ran wide. Unfortunately, getting a little bit too familiar towards the wall as Jason Blaine trying to keep it alive. And oh, talk about snatching the line back as Jacob says, nope, you're not getting past me. Immediately, the lights come on for the LMP2 of Nicholas as he tries to look around the outside. And another quick flash saying, listen, I'm coming through. Please let me on by. And, well, a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment when you suddenly have the GT3s that's able to brake a lot later than you. They've got ABS to save themselves, and also wanting their racing line back. They played nice, you couldn't get past. Well, I want my line back and I can get a good exit because I'm also in a race for overall positioning.
Yeah, absolutely. Highlighting the differences between those two classes of cars, one having ABS, the other not, but they're very, very similar apex speeds and the navigating troubles that come with that as well. Steven, you and I are all too familiar with that in endurance races around here.
Don't know what you're talking about. As bit of yeah, no, don't know what you're talking about. didn't go and land up with a few moments. But talking about that, let's talk about where everyone has shuffled themselves in, because it's quite interesting, as we do have Adrian Pabula currently first in class, first overall, and Edward unfortunately getting a black flag. But it is the first of our GTD pros running 17th overall. Daniel Pinot going and keeping a solid drive at the moment. He's trying to keep himself going. I mean, he's ahead of Kenneth Cloden, so no blue flag there. And he's chasing down Andrew Bruce for position. Noah Sauce is currently 19th overall, and he is chasing down Kenneth Cloden with Lucia Tosi onto the back, trying to close up that gap. I mean, we've got a variety of drivers, a variety of cars that are within the top 20 during this race, due to some having very unfortunate races and the others unfortunately not quite wanting where they wanted to be, as we do see Gavin just breaking a line, the cars come through. He's also got his nose fixed, so Gavin hasn't got that modified cooling on the Mercedes at the moment. Adolf Perez going and taking a look and seeing Andres Quivido trying to make his way through, and Andres Quivido is currently 29th overall, so he's trying to get a lap back through the field that will not have blue flags. They will just have to take a look behind, and whoa, take a look at the run. Adolf going and having to come off the gas quite a bit there, not wanting to go into the back of Andres Quivido, and also seeing Daniel Pinot into one side and our Laken Shaw in the LMP2 also to the left-hand side as going into the bus stop. So it's always a tough time out there to try and navigate your way back through the field, but also as a blue flag car, trying to unlap yourself from the different classes does make things a little bit more of an exciting moment. Gonzalo Absal currently in 5th position, started in 4th. He's trying to keep himself going. He has got Scott Farrell onto the back of him, and Scott looking to take that top 5 in class, is going to see what he can do. So far been a cat with 9 lives to avoid some of the contacts earlier on, but also outbraking, getting a solid run to try and see if he can get by. Andrew Davies out there in the Aston Martin, going and also applying a bit of pressure as well, not wanting to lose our time, but also there's 8 minutes left in this race. Why not go and have a little bit of fun out on the track, as well as you're enjoying and soaking up all the excitement right here for the HPR Imsa Series Round 4 here at Watkins Glen. But Brian, we're into the last moments of this race. As a driver, what would be going through the heads of these drivers, of the teams? And if you're sitting out on pit wall trying to give the information, which there is a number of drivers having that engineer in their ears going and telling them what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. For our drivers, it's going to be trying to mitigate any losses that they've encountered so far through 40 plus minutes of racing. And for those that are in close contention, as we see with Tim Keen on the back of Christian Ruiz, they're going to be pushing that little bit extra to try and get 1 or 2 more positions out of this and eke out a few more points for the season championship. As we said, it'll be halfway done at the end of tonight's races. Speaking of moving up 1 or 2 spots, Christian Ruiz has a moment exiting the bus stop. That's going to hand the position to Tim Keen through a combination of losing time going off track and losing time having to serve the slowdown from going off track.
Yeah, and I think the running words going back from Finding Dory would be definitely a conversation there of you and I were friends. Until that moment, that you took away my second place. Scott Farrell, however, trying to get the run as he is getting hunted down by the Mercedes of Gonzalo. Managed to get on past, but the McLaren now needs to try and open up the distance away from the mighty V8 of the Mercedes. And funny enough, do you know the Mercedes engine that is being utilized in the Mercedes AMG GT3 is actually from a, well, it is related to the Aston Martin V8. Out of all darn things, can you believe it? Last of the Aston Martin, true Aston Martin engines was the V12. Mercedes is the now current Aston Martin engine that is underneath the hood. So good to see a bit of fun out there, and a bit of next time you're looking at GT3 cars, you can start to take a look and find a few bits and pieces like a Lamborghini Huracan. If you look on the gearbox or on the flywheel, it actually says Audi on the back of it, but you can pay money to put a sticker or a badge over that to say Lamborghini instead of Audi. Fun fact.
So does that mean we start calling Aston Martins Mercedes the same way we call Supras BMWs now?
Well, last of the true engines were the V12. They're the absolute screamers, but unreliable. At least they got something a little bit more reliable. Talking about reliable driving, Brandon Demitter trying to keep the pressure as he does see a Mercedes. And that's Edward Delno, who's unfortunately had a rough time out there more than once. And once again, advanced cooling. I know it's a hot day here at Watkins Glen, but modifications to the nose yet again courtesy of Watkins Glen coming into effect for a number of our drivers.
Yeah, I suspect the Stuttgart engineers and Mercedes are going to have some words with some of our Mercedes drivers after this, and wondering why they're trying to re-engineer what I'm sure has been the result of countless hours of engineering in the testing labs of the Mercedes headquarters in Stuttgart, Germany. But while that was going on, our overall leaders went by it and said hi and bye very quickly, as Adolfo Perez is trying to run down Adrian Puebla, who's getting stuck behind the Aston Martin GTD traffic there of Andrew Davis.
Now, I know, Brian, you're a fan of the Porsches, but 1, 2, 3 out on the track as we do see Adolfo Perez having to really flirt to try and get by, utilizing every bit of slipstream possible. Adrian trying to get away, but it is a lockout for the Porsches at the moment. And Andres Quivido, black flag, unfortunately coming into it again. I've got to say one thing. He's 9th overall. He's had a tough race out there, but still keeping his foot in it. Like, bravo that you haven't given up the run. But much like many of the drivers that are sticking it out to the end, they're looking to score any points possible for the championship, because it may come down to that single point that separates the drivers. Now, that can be the case towards the end of the season, as there's 8 races. We're into the halfway mark, but with 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go, Jason Blaine trying to see if he can get past the Rebellion colors of Nicholas Lancers ahead of him as well. The LMP2 field, much like the LMDH, the big sisters up ahead of him, nose to tail. Well, the LMP2 is doing exactly that as well.
Yeah, and for a stretch there, it didn't look like there was much going on the track as far as battles went, maybe 1 or 2 happening. But as the race has wound down to the final couple minutes, just like at Spa, you have battles developing all up and down the order. As according to timing and scoring, just taking a glance, I see at least 3 or 4 different battles happening in 3 of the 4 classes, including for the overall lead, as you see there on the inset picture. And you see the gap come down between Adrian and Adolfo. It was half a second. It's now 0.15 seconds. As they're going through the last of the boot. Absolutely.
Sorry, this is going to come down to it.
Absolutely. I expect there to be some fireworks between these two, as they're going to come down to 2 to go, I imagine, here at the line.
Oh, Adolfo Perez trying his luck, and you can see sniffing the gearbox of Adrian, who goes into the pit pits. Did he not have enough fuel to get it done and dusted? He didn't. He pitted once, and it looks like a fuel calculation error has gone and cost him. But the question is, every other driver except Adolf Perez, now Adrian is into the pits. Tim Keen has yet to do a second stop. Christian Rees hasn't done a second stop. Are they planning to go that a little bit longer? Christian's into the pits. This is going to come down to who can save fuel.
Yeah, I think Tim Keen might have taken a page out of Daniel Boquero's playbook from last week at Spa, waiting until after the halfway mark to be the guy to come down last to pit lane. He's definitely going to have the most amount of fuel out of our front runners. Adolfo Perez, did he save enough in his chase of Adrian Puebla? We'll find out here in half a lap's time, as he first has the Mercedes GTD traffic to navigate.
And
Donald Powell, he has run down Lincoln Shaw.
Ongoing fight yet again, and well, Donald Powell not one to give up the fight. Oh, I think a little bit of a step out moment, going and catching the car, but definitely a big deep breath, and Travis going and closing up onto the back of him, does not want to have that happening. But Donald Powell, as an LMP2 driver, I take my hat off to you, sir. I'm sure, once again, it snaps at the heels. Brian, that is a car on the ragged edge of note. Adolf Perez, though, still going. And, well, with time running out, has he saved enough fuel? I mean, this is a moment, as we do have a Daniel Newman Racing Porsche parked up against the wall. Oh.
Yeah, Corey Patton having a moment coming out of the final corner there. He's going to do a nice burnout to try and get the car flipped around.
And visit pit lane. Oh, final corner, rear. He was trying to pull into the pits, and that is going down the gears. I wonder if he didn't lock up the rear diff. It's going down the gears.
Definitely looks that way. Christian Ruiz, meatball flag on the last lap. Goodness me, he just come out of the pits too.
Oh, the poor BMW. Oh, the whale shark. Its nose is broken. Its sniffer is bust. And he goes down pit lane from looking at a podium. Oh, no. Heartbreak after heartbreak coming in. And he's going to lose out time, which is going to bring Nigel Langley up into fourth. A driver that at the start of the race did not make it, but coming across the line to take the race win, Adolf Perez making it a Porsche across the line. And so far, what a run it has been for him as they come charging away through. Travis Stevens trying to make his way through, but it's Ryan Anderson locking out a win yet again in the LMP2 class. He is trying to cycle his way up to the line as Carlos comes across in second, Lakin comes across in third, and Daniel Pinot will be coming across the line as a GTD Pro 18th overall. What a drive for the field. And hang on, do my eyes deceive me? Did Landon Stewart just manage to get past Nigel Langley, and Landon Stewart managing to get himself up into fourth place? I mean, after having a nightmare race, he's done a fantastic job.
Nigel Langley might be out of fuel.
Oh no,
just
the
looking
Cadillac
at
drinking a
timing and
little too
scoring.
much.
He is. He ran out of fuel. Goodness me.
Oh, talk about a race that has definitely had it all, as Ryan Anderson has had a bit of a boring race up at the front, but exactly what he needed to come out in first place in the LMP2 class. Noah South managing to get across the line, winning out the GTD. He was in a solid fight for a long time. as we do have Jacob Grubb, who will come across the line taking second in his class. Christian Rees goes and comes through for 5th place. He manages to beat out Nigel Langley as, oh no, this is Tosia trying to get going. Come on, Ferrari! Come on! You're a turbocharged V6. You were meant to be a little bit easier on fuel compared to the 488. She's in 3rd place. Lucas managed to cross the line in 4th, but she is trying. Final corner. Come on. I know it's a bit of an uphill. Starter motor. Starter motor. Oh, it's a long way to the line. Oh, this is when you want to climb out and push the car. Come on, Lucia. Come on. Come on. Nearly there. We're willing you along. The Race Delta AI did not work out the fueling to work out that extra lap. Oh, so close. Come on. Willing the Ferrari on at the moment.
I think she'll have the momentum. I think she'll have the momentum. Just eyeballing it.
Oh, it's first gear. It's gentle. Oh. She needs.
She's the last car to finish. Going. Everybody's got their eyes on her crossing.
Go, 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 go! First gear, and it's out. Come on, come on, come on!
Yeah, well done, Lucia.
3rd place. Well done.
And put the parking brake on. It might not pass post-race tech, but hey, it's still a podium. We don't do post-race tech in iRacing.
Oh man, what a race. So let's go through our leaders. Adolf Perez takes the victory in the LMDH class with Tim Keen in 2nd place. Adrian Papula going and taking that 3rd place, unfortunately coming down to a pit stop that did him over at the end. Landon Stewart, Christian Rees, Nigel Langley ran out of fuel. He finishes up in 6th with Travis Stevens, Corey Patton, Andres Quivedo, Wig Santiago, Daniel Bequera having a rough race out there, and Jace Larson unfortunately out from the start of the race. How does our LMP2s look like?
Yeah, LMP2 was taken once again by Ryan Anderson. As you said, a fairly uneventful race, but he will take it. P2 goes to Carlos Ruiz Padilla, and P3 is Lincoln Shaw. Rest of our P2 running order, you got Donald Powell in 4th, Chris Nauman in 5th, Nicholas Lanciers in 6th, Jason Blaine 7th, Andrew Bruce 8th, Kenneth Cloden 9th, Brandon McManus in 10th, and Juan Santiago Barrios going to have a talk with Ken about that race all the way down in P11.
Yeah, not quite what you want to have, but our senpai, Daniel Pino, going and taking 1st place with Jacob Grubb holding on to 2nd. Lucia Tosia takes on for 3rd and just crossing a line. And well done to getting that car across the line. Lucas Kaiser holds on to 4th with Ryan Frankenberry. Mutve Kutsov holds on to 6th with Aldo Secklin. And Sergio Dorelli, unfortunately, not able to cross the line in the GTD Pro.
Yeah, GTD, Noah Schaus takes home victory tonight ahead of Curtis Polisu and Matthew Knoll, who rounds out your GTD podium. Will Adam comes home in P4 with Scott Farrell behind him, rounding out your top 5. Gonzalo Abskull, Matt Lost Rooster, Brandon Dittmer, Gavin Cambray, and Donald Ingram are your top 10. Edward Delano comes home P11, 2 laps down, followed by Gareth Kabler, Andrew Davis, Cisco Rodriguez, Alex Keforshin, and Liam Hubble.
What a race of note, Brian, and we're going to get to chat to our class winners on that fantastic race. But man, oh man, Watkins Glen promised to be full of excitement, and exactly it had that, as we'll be having a chat to our LMP2 field that will be coming through and having a chat to us. I mean, Ryan Anderson took the victory and will be more than happy for the CrowdStrike team to stay at the top. Once again, lengthening his run in the championship. Ryan, welcome to the commentary box. What a race. Watkins Glen promised to be exciting for multi-class, so you managed to get the win in the class. How was it out there on a very hot circuit and having to navigate through some very, very busy traffic?
Is my mic working? Just want to
Yep, can hear you loud and clear.
All right, perfect. No, it was, I had a blast. Once again, this was just one of those races where just focused on, once I knew I had the lead and had good pace, just focus on just driving clean laps, not doing anything crazy. There was a lot of traffic to deal with. So and there were a lot of times where, as a faster class going into a GT class, sometimes you could send it, sometimes you can't. It's really just about being smart, knowing when and when not to fight, and not losing time. So, yeah, I mean, got a great qualifying lap in. I managed to set a 136 there. I was shocked by that. It was just a perfect lap. And then just started on pole, started the clean race. Saw the GTP field had a massive incident at the start, so we had to eyes up for that, for sure. And just like I said, just focused on clean laps. I was really looking forward going into this weekend. Watkins Glen is one of my favorites, and another great championship result there, third one of the season. It was unfortunate that Barros and Shaw, I think, ended up in an incident, so we couldn't really have a race like we did last week, where I think me and Barros had a photo finish. So that was a bit unfortunate. I always like racing. It's having a close race with them, but that's just how it goes in this Imsa series, this multi-class series. It can be chaotic, and sometimes not really the fastest guy ends up winning. Mostly the smartest driver ends up winning. So you have to always, you have to have really good racecraft when you're racing in this series.
With that being said, halfway through the season, how are you feeling to go and have a run up to the top? And also, how are you feeling for the remaining 4 rounds as we look towards Monza in the wet?
Oh, I feel good. I think Monza might be a challenging track for me, but no, it feels good. I think I have a really good lead here. As long as, I'm consistently finishing. Even like I don't even need to be winning, as long as I'm just having good clean races where nothing bad happens. It should be a secure championship for me now. So yeah, really looking forward to next week.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. And before we let you go, anything you would like to say to all the drivers and teams out on the track, to your team going and supporting you, but also to everyone out in the virtual grandstands right here at Racer Nexus, going and watching the amazing racing of High Point Racing Imsa Series?
Well, to everyone watching the stream, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a exciting race for you guys. Big thank you, obviously, to High Point for putting this together. The race control did a good job. I saw, I think, handling a bunch of incidents. So, everyone's playing a good part, and I feel like you need a good team with good, passionate people to make these things happen. And big thanks to you guys also, broadcasting, presenting this to an audience. It's always good to have that. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Absolutely wonderful stuff for Ryan Anderson, taking the win here tonight in the LMP2 class and stretching his legs in the championship, and Ryan having a phenomenal run. Thank you very much for joining us, Ryan. But that being said, Brian, you managing to catch up with our winner overall and LDMH class winner in a car that you thoroughly enjoy, the Porsche LDMH.
Yeah, absolutely. Adolfo, our overall winner tonight. Talk us through the end of that race, especially with your close competitor having to make a last-minute pit stop. Did you have any concerns on fuel, or did you know you had enough the whole time?
First of all, hi guys. Nice to meet you. I missed the interview in Long Beach, I believe. Yeah, it wasn't a special race. Always... Watkins is always bringing stuff with the fuel, so it was the plan from the beginning to keep it cool with the consumption, being aware of what the others have been done in any lap, like if they're pushing, if they are lifting a bit. But yeah, it was pretty good for me. The plan was to stretch the legs in the first stint and then just wait for the others to pit at the end. But I was thinking that Adrian was about to change strategy at the end and saving a lot of fuel because I was a little bit behind, but it didn't happen. It was a pretty good race after all. Like it's Watkins, traffic management, a lot of thinking forward, and then just capitalize what you get. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Absolutely. And as we head to a wet Monza next week, what is your focus going to be heading into round 5?
Oh well, Monza and me, we are not like the best partners, so I'm just gonna try to get a lot of laps there. So yeah, I know it's gonna be raining there, so Monza tends to be a bit flooded, like when it's raining, even if it's just a few minutes, or not as pouring as it could be. But yeah, it's gonna be dangerous. I have to keep it cool, doing a lot of laps in the rain. And if we are going to have changing conditions like wet to dry, dry to wet, it's gonna be special. There's the rain always brings the factor that it's more about patience and skill set than pace. But yeah, let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go for tonight, who would you like to give a shout out to?
Oh, just for my team, 07 Racing. They always raising the bar for us. Also for my sponsor, Rhino Power, they always bringing the right amount of fuel for my body. So right now, those are the guys that I have in my pocket tonight. But yeah, let's go. Thank you, boys. And also, sorry for the organization, HBR. They're doing a great job. They're putting this season together. So always happy to be with the best. So thank you, boys, for that.
Absolutely. Well, that was tonight's overall winner, Adolfo Perez, in the LMDH class, and we will see him next week at Monza.
Thank you, boys.
Absolutely wonderful to hear, and you can hear the excitement as well. But talking about excitement, let's talk our GTD Pro winner. And I always like to say it, your senpai, my senpai, and let's have a chat to the likes of Daniel. Daniel, what a race out there, taking the win tonight in the GTD Pro, having to fight it out with a number of cars within your class, LMP2s, LDMH, and our GTD class, going and having a bit of fun. How are you feeling after a busy Watkins Glen?
I feel tired. It was a very tough race. Well, the beginning, I don't know how I keep the car without that big crash before the green, but the Mercedes drive very good.
Well, we saw how you could mount the curbs and get the car going. Was there any worry in terms of fueling as an issue? We have seen a number of cars landing up tonight running into fueling issues, including third place in the GTD Pro of Lucia Tosi going and running out of fuel. Did you have a concern as well in the Mercedes, or was it comfortable all the way through to the end?
Well, the first 5-10 laps, I was saving fuel. I let by the P2, so I was behind him just saving fuel. And when he got a drive-through for the problem of turn 1, green flag. Well, I start pushing, but I just have to add like 14 gallons of 16, that is the max in the car. So I was good, no problem. I have the time to change tires, so I just secured the win.
Well, securing the win is putting it lightly. You've gone and really pushed to the top for the High Point Racing Mercedes halfway through the championship, scoring a great amount of points thus far. Now, before we let you go to enjoy the celebration after a very difficult Watkins Glen and after grabbing the victory in the GTD Pro, anything you'd like to say to all the sponsors here at High Point Racing, to all the admin, the drivers and teams out joining you in this race and in the championship, and also to our VIPs, our virtual grandstand here at Racer Nexus?
Yeah, thanks to David, Monster Design, that he made deliveries, to Carlos, that he invited me to the league for the races. I have a lot of endurance by High Point Racing, so I am very grateful to the team that they bring me to set up the car, and yeah, thanks to the broadcaster, man. I hear you after the race, and very good job. And yeah, I won chicken dinner.
There we go. Love to hear it. Love to see it. Daniel, well done on the GTD Pro win. And what a run it was.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. And going in, once again, a striking livery. Gotta say, it's one of the most standout liveries out there, and Monster Designs going and getting behind it. But Brian, any last thoughts from your side as we say farewell to Watkins Glen? We trip over to Europe and have a bit of fun in Italy heading into round 5.
Yeah, another exciting race here in the High Point Racing Imsa series, and a little bit more chaos than I think you or I expected, especially coming off of the chaos at Spa last week. But for our drivers, it's halfway done through the season, so for some of our drivers that are lingering in the shadows and maybe want to mount a challenge for the championship, it's going to be go time for those. And for our leaders in their respective classes, it's going to be about maintaining that lead and potentially a strategy shift as they look to preserve their championship leads. But for me, it was another classic Watkins race, and I'm no doubt expecting Monza to be much of the same, especially with Mother Nature wanting to play a role in that as well. So, Steven, I will throw it back over to you for your thoughts.
I think we're in for an exciting championship, and we're excited for round 5 coming up. But that being said, a shout out to our sponsors here at High Point Racing, Hymo, for professional setups done for sim racers by sim racers. And it doesn't mean that you have to be the best driver in the world. They've got you covered with some of the most stable setup you can get on iRacing. Big shout out to Hymo. Also, if you want to have a livery that stands out from the race, Monster Designs has got you covered. And so far, Daniel has got the fastest livery out there, done by Monster Designs. For your personal all-team livery, get in contact and they'll get you covered. Also, a big shout out to Admin Box, going and giving controls right at your fingertips to help out with lead control, race admin, and also for commentary. Also, as a driver, quite handy to have Admin Box built for iRacing and plug and play. Big shout out to High Point Racing for having the Imsa series and going and giving us a chance here at Racer Nexus to be a part of the show. Shout out to Brian Zinn, my color commentator, and also the fastest LMP2 driver I know, Rob Campbell, the fastest in production and making sure that we set up with all our cameras, and I believe is quite quick in a car. We're going to find that one out hopefully soon. But from myself, Stephen Koenig, would like to say a big thank you to everyone out in the Racer Nexus channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, leave a like as well, and let us know what's your favorite part of the Watkins Glen race, and who do you think is going to be able to take the championship in all 4 of our classes right here at High Point Racing. Folks, it's been a great one. It's been an amazing time, but like always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.